these are no doubt predictions that will later be curated by one of the 32, if not all of the 32 teams, to put on the bottom of the screen at one point for some kind of social flex when one of their players or the team collectively does something. Because I feel like, and I'm all for making picks, by the way, I feel like these picks now just, they're like, we're cannon fodder for team social media accounts.
Yeah, I get that. By the way, okay, so I just want to get right into this because I thought I was coming in hot. I have the Ravens over the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I was like,
In the
do I
Super Bowl.
really want to? Do I really want to put out
Let's
that
get
the
to the Super
Buccaneers?
Bowl.
I know. That's why
Okay.
I'm gonna pitch it to you real quick because I was like, do I really want to put myself out there? Buccaneers at such a, and then you come in with the Rams winning the Super Bowl. Explain yourself here, Andrew. I love it. I love being bold.
Sure.
Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl champions. Tell me about this.
Okay. So here are all the picks right now on the screen. We got Chuck McDonald, we got Tice, we got Harmon, we got Charles Robinson, we got Jory, we got the whole crew here. It's really small on my screen. I literally can't read every day, but you can see where all the picks are. I'm the only guy here picking the Rams. I think the Rams, partly because of the defense I mentioned earlier, 16 sacks in those two playoff games, the win over the Vikings in Arizona, and then the almost win. They lost. Eagles won the Super Bowl in the snow in Philadelphia. They have rebuilt, Les Snead has, that front seven after the departure of Aaron Donald the last 2 years with the likes of Byron Young and Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, and they get after the passer. If Matthew Stafford can stay healthy, and if you can get Kyron Williams and Blake Corum as a great 1-2 punch in the backfield, even maybe throw in rookie Jarquez Hunter. You have Devontae Adams and you have Puka Nacua. This team, if Tyler Higbee is back and fully operational, has a lot of weapons. And I do think that the NFC West, while I know it's not nearly as good as the AFC West, I don't think this division is as good as people think it is. And I think the Rams can get there. I truly, truly do. The Ravens pick isn't very controversial here, but honestly, is my Rams pick so far? I mean, I think to be frank, I think your Bucs pick is far more radical than my Rams pick.
It probably is, but I like that you had the courage. I don't want to say any other word that'll get us kicked off a live show, but that you had the courage to pick the Rams because I would really chalk you my champion with the Ravens. I will say this about the Rams. I almost picked Jared versus my defensive player of the year. I think he's going to have a monster year. Oh, totally. Absolute positive monster season. Yeah. So I don't agree with you on the Rams. Let me be honest. I worry too much about Stafford's back. I think the Alaric Jackson thing, we haven't talked. I hope he's healthy all year, but he's dealing with blood clots and he's such a big part of their line. But that defense was playing really well at the end of the year. McVay's awesome. Like, he's a wizard. Stafford stays healthy all year. I can at least see where you're coming from with it. I like the pick. Let's put it that way. I don't agree with it, but I like the fact that you picked it.
All right. And the Bucs are bold. I mean, that is a bold pick. I don't see it as much as others, but
I love them. I think they're loaded.
I'll tip my cap.
I think they're going to win that division by a few games too. That's why I think they win that division by a few games. They're going to backdoor their way into the number 1 seed. If you've listened to Inside Coverage at all, you've heard me talk about the Bucs this offseason. They're kind of my pet project. I think they're the number 1 seed in the NFC just because I don't trust any other team in that division. I think they go 6-0 against the division, and I think they're going to, the Lions and Packers beat each other up, and the Rams get a challenge from the 49ers, and the Commanders and Eagles go out. I think the Buccaneers just skate to 13-4, that kind of a record. It might be like the Titans a few years ago where they're not really that good. They're not really the best team, but if you're 2 home wins away from a Super Bowl, hey, number 1 seed has a lot of advantages.
All right, that is bold. Let's go to MVP. These are not bold picks. We both have AFC North MVPs. Frank, you go Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I go Joe Burrow, who was Joe Cool today on the podium. He was asked 1,000 times why you feel better. Are you healthy? Is this as confident as you've ever been? Why do you think this team is going to start differently this year? Zach Taylor is 1-11 combined in his career, weeks 1 and 2. Joe kind of demanded his way onto the field this year in the preseason. If Joe Burrow is healthy, he is going to light it up this year if he stays healthy and that team stays healthy. Now, is the defense going to be good enough? I don't think it is. I think it's going to be better.
See, that's what I want.
I don't
Andrew,
think
I want
this
to ask
is
you
a
about
Super Bowl team. Yeah,
Let me
but I
ask
do
you,
think
because
Joe's going to play so well that you're going to look at the math and say, look how far they did get. Joe Burrow did carry a bad defense, and they didn't win it all, but he deserves the MVP.
Do you think they win the division? The Bengals.
Do I think they? No, I think the Ravens win the division.
Okay, and that's my that's what I have trouble getting. Since I'll give you a little bit of MVP history, because as somebody who might wager on such things, I pay attention to this stuff. Since 2012, a player from a wild card team has not been an MVP. That was Adrian Peterson, 2012. Before that, you got to go back to 2009. Peyton Manning won it as a wild card team. So since 2009, basically everybody but Adrian Peterson, who was kind of a strange pick, every one of those has been a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed in their division. I can't get the Bengals here. That's my problem. That's kind of why I pick Lamar as my MVP. Like, I know it's chalky, but if I'm picking the Ravens who go to the Super Bowl, I kind of have to pick Lamar to win MVP. Odds-wise, I think Brock Purdy has a good shot at it, actually. But otherwise, it's going to be really, really hard for Joe Burrow to win MVP without winning the division just based on history. But to your point, I think Joe Burrow puts up such good numbers that the voters are going to look at him. I thought he had a shot last year. If the Bengals would have been a wild card last year, I think a lot of voters would have said, look at these stats that Joe Burrow put up. Exactly. Unbelievable. He's our MVP. He would have got plenty of votes. Let's put it that way.
I want to get through some of these other ones here. I'm not going to fight you on Brock Purdy, but I will walk home if Brock Purdy wins the MVP.
If the 49ers end up being number 1 seed, Mayfield could win it if they're a number 1 seed.
I guess you and I view the 49ers differently. I'm not anti-Brock Purdy. I just don't see the 49ers being anywhere close to a 1 seed. Okay, but I like Brock Purdy. I just don't. Yeah, I guess we view the team.
It's just one of those. It's one of those things. I always say the formula is the formula. It's almost always a number 1 seeded quarterback. And if Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff, even whoever is the number 1 seed in each conference, those guys have a really good chance to win MVP.
Offensive Player of the Year, you go Ja'Marr Chase, who won the Triple Crown last year. Can't go wrong there. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs. Now,
I like that.
That was kind of a be bold, do something different pick, full disclosure. I just tried to be different there. I don't know what the offense is going to truly look like with Ben Johnson in Chicago and John Morton calling plays. I don't know. But
sure,
Jahmyr Gibbs is a beast. If not him, I might have gone Bijan Robinson. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs, Frank.
Yeah, and for me, Ja'Marr Chase is just like, okay, he probably maybe deserved to win it last year, but how could you vote against Saquon Barkley? Like, he had such a monster year. He had to be Offensive Player of the Year. This year, I think Chase is going to have just as good of a season. It's going to be, quote unquote, his turn. Like, we gave it to Saquon last year. Here you go, Chase. Here you go, Ja'Marr. You should have won it maybe last year and any other year that Saquon Barkley's 2024 season didn't exist. Here's your Offensive Player of the Year award, Ja'Marr. I think he wins it this year.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's a slam dunk if they stay healthy. If Joe Burrow puts together the MVP season, I think he does, then Ja'Marr Chase easily is the 1-2 there. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go Myles Garrett. I mean, he's the best defensive player on earth. Sure. It's hard to win 2 times in 3 years. How good are the Browns going to be collectively? I don't know. But could he – look, he led the NFL. People look at the sack numbers last year that Trey Hendrickson had, obviously fantastic, 37.5 collectively the last 2 years. Myles Garrett led the NFL with 22 TFLs, and he still had 14 sacks. He is as disruptive a player as there is in the National Football League. As Burrow said today, that if you let him, he will win the game Sunday. The key is just not letting him. Your pick is Kyle Hamilton. We had a DB win it last year in Patrick Surtain. Because you followed this stuff, I'm intrigued. And Kyle Hamilton's a great pick, by the way. When was the last time we had DBs win it back-to-back years?
I was actually going to look. I do not because it's been a long time. Okay. I mean, it's usually here or there. Charles Woodson wins, Stephon Gilmore wins. It's a kind of a island, and a few years pass and then another one wins. But I hope we're getting away from just, hey, who led the NFL in sacks? Okay, that's Defensive Player of the Year. I think there's more nuance to it, and I think Kyle Hamilton is as valuable of a defensive player as there is. Like, obviously Garrett and Watt and Parsons. Like, we all know about those guys. I think Kyle Hamilton, who plays a different position, obviously, is right there in value because he can play deep. He can play up near the box. He makes plays all around the field. And obviously, I think the Ravens are going to be really good this year. So that was my bold pick, I guess. I wanted to give Kyle Hamilton some love because you watch that guy on Sundays and, man, he does it all. He just does it all. He can, whatever they need, whatever Zach Orr, their defensive coordinator, needs, he's like, okay, Kyle Hamilton, you're my chess piece. He's the queen on the board, and he can do anything you want him to do.
Let's blow through these last. We got 2 minutes remaining. Coach of the year, you go Liam Cohen. I go Aaron Glenn. I don't know that I feel so strongly about the Aaron Glenn pick anymore after the Elijah Vera Tucker injury today, but oh well. Rookie of the year, offensively, you go Omarion Hampton. I can't argue with that one. I'm going to go Cam Ward. I don't think they win a lot of games, but I just think that he's going to be good enough.
He's awesome.
Where he's going to get the consideration. Clearly. Defensive rookie of the year. I don't know that anyone has anybody other than Abdul Carter.
It's got to be Abdul. That's got to be the pick. Like if somebody else,
yeah.
I will say Carson Schlesinger, and you've seen him close up. If somebody can steal it, it's Carson. He could have 150 tackles. It wouldn't surprise me.
He could, and he's going to wear the green dot on Sunday. A rookie.
Awesome. He's an awesome player.
Starting at middle linebacker, wearing the green dot. I mean, there are a couple of guys that wore the green dot last year, or rather rookies that played the mic last year. Junior Colson, week 18, here for the Chargers. I think Adrian Cooper did it maybe for one game, but they didn't actually wear the green dot. Schlesinger did it at UCLA a year ago. He is going to do it week number 1. All right, pulling up the rundown one more time. Biggest surprise in our final minute. You say Broncos beat the Chiefs for the AFC West. I just say Arizona Cardinals. I'm vague there. Biggest disappointment. You say Commanders miss playoffs. Wouldn't surprise me, Frank. Because, look, step back. Sometimes you're building the roster here. Mine is simply the Dolphins. I'm just going to be vague. The Dolphins.
The Dolphins. And I understand what you mean. They're going to be a disappointment. Yeah.